So in this video, I want to talk about all of the different facets of Microsoft and all of the ways in which they're kind of flailing and losing confidence on the part of investors. While this is not a company that's in danger of, running out of money, it is one that's been making choices and decisions and whose quality bar has gone down to a level where optics surrounding the company are not good. Let's start with Xbox with Christopher Dring here, reporting that sales of Xbox consoles were down 39% in the UK during 2025, making it comfortably the worst year on record for Xbox consoles. Now, Xbox is practically exiting the hardware business. They're still working on a next-gen console, but they're not doing the traditional console model of releasing like a subsidized device with exclusives. They're basically releasing like a PC console hybrid next time around, and they're still going to release all of their first-party games on competing platforms like PlayStation and Nintendo. And even despite this focus on multi-platform releases, though, on January 28th, 2026, Windows Central reported that Xbox revenue overall has plummeted, with Microsoft blaming its own first-party lineup. Some of the most recent first-party releases on the part of Xbox and Microsoft include Ninja Gaiden 4, Keeper, Outer Worlds 2, and Black Ops 7, all of which ultimately disappointed in their financial performance, with Call of Duty in particular being, one of the biggest franchises in the world that Microsoft owns now, and Black Ops 7 performed like so poorly compared to past entries to the point where even Battlefield actually beat Call of Duty for the first time with Battlefield 6. So that didn't help push the Xbox needle in a positive direction. And scrolling further down, you'll find exact stats like how overall gaming revenue for Microsoft decreased by 9%, Xbox hardware revenue dropped 32%, Xbox content and services revenue was down 5%. Now, Microsoft has much bigger fish to fry than its gaming division. It's obviously got Windows and Azure, the cloud service, as well as, of course, AI. And the end result right now is that as of January 29th, 2026, Microsoft lost a whopping $440 billion in market cap as shares tank. You can actually see this for yourself. This right here is the last 5 years of Microsoft's stock price. And you can see that starting, late 2025 into beginning of 2026, from here to now, there's been a pretty massive dip. And much of that happened in a single day. As Windows Central reports here, this was the second largest single day stock decline in history, wiping an absurd $440 billion in market value from the tech giant. And the trend is still going downwards. We're talking about a single day drop in share price of 5.37%. And while that number may seem small, keep in mind that Microsoft is a multi-trillion-dollar company, so 5.37% of that is pretty significant. It's in the hundreds of billions. The way Windows Central frames it is that year-to-date, Microsoft stock is down overall 2%, wiping out all the AI-related gains it made over the past year. So what exactly happened here? What exactly caused this share price dip? Well, the easy assumption would be that, Xbox having an off year, or, Microsoft's entire computing segment being down by 3%, according to Windows Central, are some key aspects of all of this, but it actually has more to do with Microsoft's commitment to artificial intelligence. Share price dips when investors don't feel confident in the direction that a company is headed towards. And despite the fact that Microsoft saw growth in key aspects of their business, like how Azure, their cloud computing service, grew by 39%, which sounds fantastic, but Wall Street apparently wanted more. Investors were also unimpressed by the future-facing statement of a further 37% growth. Cloud revenue surpassed $50 billion, atop a huge $81.3 billion annual revenue, up 17% year over year. Operating income was up 21% year over year with a net of $38.5 billion. Microsoft 365 Copilot was up 160% year over year. GitHub Copilot was up 75% year over year. Shareholder returns were up 32% year over year too. But in the eyes of investors, all of that growth ultimately doesn't matter if Microsoft is taking their revenue and their profits and pouring it back into AI, a segment that is still very uncertain in terms of its financial profitability. Microsoft is investing tens of billions of dollars in not only building out AI infrastructure with the purchase of hardware like NVIDIA GPUs, but also they are investing in other companies like OpenAI, which Microsoft has been a huge supporter of and has already invested like dozens of billions of dollars into. But as I've reported through multiple videos in the past, OpenAI bleeds money, burns through money like no other venture. Despite making billions of dollars in revenue, that revenue pales in comparison to the expenditures involved in building the AI systems and infrastructures and data centers, as well as maintaining them, upkeeping them, as well as paying for the amount of power that they consume. Despite the massive investments that OpenAI is getting, not just from Microsoft, but also from NVIDIA, from Amazon, and whatnot, all of that investment are something that OpenAI will burn through incredibly quickly due to how much it costs to build and maintain AI, with expenditures only getting higher, exponentially higher year after year. Basically, in the eyes of investors, all of the growth that Microsoft is experiencing in certain sectors kind of goes to waste when they reinvest all of their money back into a venture that, again, is just incredibly uncertain and financially currently is not looking particularly viable or tenable. The growth in revenue for AI is not keeping up with the growth in expenses for AI. And then there are other sectors where Microsoft is completely screwing up, like their pivotal Windows division, with Windows 11 kind of having been a disaster in the eyes of the public, with its adoption recently having flatlined, some people rolling back to Windows 10 because they find it to be a superior experience. Microsoft has straight up admitted that Windows 11 is a mess and that they have to do better in 2026, and how they have plans to address pain points across the OS. Windows 11 is just an operating system that I've previously spoken about that, it's just a complete mess. The amount of bugs and issues and security concerns and things that don't work as they should, or the implementation of features that are more invasive than beneficial, among other problems, it all paves the road to optics surrounding Windows that is like some of the most negative I've ever seen for the platform. And I suppose the trouble surrounding Windows should come as no surprise, given that Satya Nadella admitted back in April of 2025 that as much as 30% of Microsoft's code is being written by AI now. Yeah, it shows. That's another area where investors are concerned about with AI. It's not just about the financial prospects, it's also about the technology's capabilities to realize its full ambitions. Because as impressive as AI is, it's also extremely unreliable on multiple fronts. Like, it's just not a perfect technology for it to be put out in a way where it's almost advertised like it's a finished product when it's nowhere close to that. Is it getting better over the years? Yeah, sure. But right now, when you try to rely on AI to perform tasks for you or to give you information, it's not always 100% correct. It doesn't always get it right. And when there is a margin of error for a technology that they hope everyone will rely on, like, that's just woefully irresponsible to push out a technology that they want people to be reliant on when the technology is not really reliable at all right now. But yeah, no wonder Windows 11 is experiencing so many issues, because the human touch is diminishing as AI kind of takes up a significant chunk of how they program a lot of their internal software and platforms. With Windows 11 in particular, if you go to Windows' latest Twitter page and scroll down through their history, you'll find all of the issues that Windows 11 has been experiencing over the past few months. And it's like pretty egregious stuff. Like, most recently, NVIDIA staff has confirmed that removing Windows 11's January 2026 update fixes gaming issues, including artifacts, so on and so forth. It's too long a history for me to be able to highlight all of it. But we're talking about a software that's even breaking recent hardware releases like Asus's ROG Xbox Ally. Windows 11 update breaks all Asus native software on the ROG Xbox Ally. A recent Windows 11 update has caused Asus Armoury Crate to stop launching on ROG Xbox Ally and Ally X handhelds. So that's just like one of the smaller issues. Believe it or not, there are much bigger issues that Windows 11 is experiencing, as highlighted by this NeoWin article right here that highlights how back in November of 2025, Microsoft finally admits almost all major Windows 11 core features are broken. And scrolling down, you'll find a quote from Microsoft talking about how various apps such as Start Menu Experience Host, Search, System Settings, Taskbar, or Explorer might experience difficulties with this recent Windows 11 update version 2.4H2. Like, we're not talking about optional Windows features. We're talking about core aspects of the operating system that Microsoft has come out and said, like, yeah, these things are not working properly with certain updates, and we're going to strive to fix that. It's just slop what they're outputting right now. And speaking of slop, Jazz from Windows Central highlights this video right here showing how Microsoft's own AI consistently fails even in the most basic tasks. So right here we have an individual saying this is not a real company, highlighting one of the AI features that it asks you to test out when you boot up Windows. And, there's a prompt right here that says, try my mouse pointer is too small. And the AI is supposed to recognize that and give you the right information and take you to the right settings to be able to change that. But when this individual tries to input the prompt that Microsoft suggests here, my mouse pointer is too small, it says search uses AI to find results. If something doesn't look right, let us know. And indeed, something doesn't look right in the sense of there is no search results whatsoever. So once again, AI, when it works, it can be incredible to see what its capabilities are, but it also often just doesn't, and it's more impeding than anything. And other prompts just straight up don't show the thing that you wanted to show. This is from back in January of 2026. And the general optics surrounding Microsoft's pursuit of AI, as well as their execution of implementing AI in Windows, has been so negative that they actually, apparently, according to Windows Central and their reporting based on what sources told this news outlet, Microsoft is apparently walking back Windows 11's AI overload, scaling down Copilot, and rethinking Recall in a major shift. This article was published on January 30th, 2026. That's not Microsoft completely giving up on AI. It's just they're not going as ham as they've been going. They're not going to be as aggressive, and hopefully they'll put more care into its implementation because it's just not something that Windows users enjoy. The report right here talks about how, according to people familiar with Microsoft's plans, the company is now reevaluating its AI strategy on Windows 11 and plans changes to streamline or even remove certain AI features where they don't make sense, which is in a lot of places within Windows. Copilot integrations like those found in Notepad and Paint are under review. Why the hell would you add AI to these elements, whatever. This may result in Microsoft removing certain Copilot integrations from these apps, or at the very least, removing the Copilot branding and pivoting. Beyond that, Microsoft is putting a pause on any additional Copilot buttons for inbox apps, and Windows Recall, which is a major thing that they promoted, is an AI experience that I'm told is under review due to security concerns that users raised. Now, for those who don't know what Windows Recall is, this article right here explains it, but it's basically an AI system that constantly takes screenshots of what you're doing on your computer so that the AI is able to take all of that information and essentially have this memory, this photographic memory, where when you type prompts that relate to things you've done in the past, it's able to do those commands for you, whether it's literally recalling something you did in the past or, something you searched for in the past that you're like, oh, what was that thing? And you type, a prompt that describes that object that you looked at in the past that you forgot about, and it'll bring that up and give it to you and show you the results of what it remembers. That's the idea, where it's about making sure past activity doesn't get lost and you're always able to recall it through prompts. That's the concept of it. You may, for example, come across some images of a red handbag on a shopping website but can't remember when or what the name of the site and bag was. With Windows Recall, you can just type a red bag, and Windows Recall will be able to quickly search back through your snapshots to find all the times where a red bag appeared on screen. Or if you're looking for a document that your colleague Bob sent you on Slack, just typing find that Word document Bob sent me on Slack a few weeks ago should yield results based on memories that Windows Recall has captured. Now, Microsoft insisted that Windows Recall is completely safe and its data that they claim is only stored locally on your device and does not get uploaded to the cloud to be processed. That means that your snapshots cannot be viewed by Microsoft or any third parties, allegedly. But then what was discovered later on June of 2024 is that according to security researchers, Windows Recall does not encrypt the screenshots that it takes in a very secure manner. As Windows Central reports right here, Recall stores everything locally on device, but it appears that the data is not encrypted when the user is logged into the computer. Basically, Microsoft did the bare minimum to secure this information, so with all said and done, the data is actually readable and not encrypted when the user is logged into their computer. The only time the data becomes encrypted is when the PC is not logged in. So while that protects against someone accessing your data on a stolen laptop, it does not prevent potential malware designed to scrape Recall's data while the user is logged in. And a lot of malware happens while someone is using a computer and maybe they click on the wrong wrong link or go to the wrong website or download the wrong file, whatever it is. As Windows Central puts it here, Microsoft has done the bare minimum to protect this data. It's stored in a system directory that requires administrator and system-level rights to access and edit. However, these protections are easily bypassed, and an attacker could easily write a bit of software to ignore those permissions if they wanted. So these security concerns is a big part of why Microsoft has ultimately postponed Windows recall after the major backlash that ensued. And they've also put out statements talking about some of the changes that they're making to Windows Recall to make it more secure, to ensure, the snapshots that the AI feature takes are truly completely local and also completely inaccessible. But Windows users usually have a general lack of trust when it comes to Microsoft due to all of the times when they felt burned by Microsoft choices. But yeah, the ultimate result of all of this is that the backlash surrounding Microsoft, its choices and things like Windows and the way that's all messed up and their commitment to AI that is not properly implemented or executed, and it's a technology that is still unreliable, has proven to be pretty effective with Microsoft not only losing, hundreds of billions of dollars in valuation, but also, pivoting in numerous ways that reflects the discontent that users have against Microsoft and Windows and their myriad products and their myriad endeavors. Now, Microsoft will try to have you believe otherwise, presenting this narrative that Copilot usage is booming, but it only boomed because they force-fed Copilot by adding it into just about all of its products. And so people had no choice but to use it. It wasn't that people actively wanted to use it. Somebody here framed it aptly here with this mocking quote saying, "You were forced to eat poison laced in your food, yet you still had no choice but to eat it. This proves you crave the poison, and it is our success." That's literally how Microsoft is presenting this narrative that woefully misconstrues the real optics surrounding Windows, Microsoft, its full leaning into AI that is just not something that the general masses and Windows users, especially the kind of the people who are more in tune with the news surrounding Microsoft and Windows, are in favor for. So, this is kind of the current state of Microsoft and Windows. They're losing trust on the part of investors. They're losing trust when it comes to users. And there's just a lot of uncertainty surrounding the future of Microsoft right now, with so many of their ventures just kind of falling apart right now, with Xbox, despite, the fact that they're shipping games to competing platforms. That's generating a revenue boost, but the Xbox platform and brand just no longer carries the same power that it once did, the same renown. And then Windows 11 has just been a shit show all throughout. And then when it comes to AI, it feels like Microsoft is just desperately trying to make this thing work because it's a technology that they've invested so much money into that if it doesn't work, if it's not a profitable business venture in the mid to long term, then it could spell trouble for them, and it would lose a lot of confidence on the part of investors who are already losing confidence in Microsoft based on how they're choosing to spend their money and what kinds of investments they're making, especially with a technology that is still very uncertain in the current shape and state and implementation. But that, ladies and gentlemen, is everything you need to know, and I'd love to hear what your thoughts and opinions are on the current state of Microsoft and all of its endeavors and its products in the comments below. And to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.